So good evening. My name is Craig Blanchette, and I'm a healthy lifestyle coach. And it's my pleasure to bring you this session of the habits of health. We need like a little music. Health, 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 right? So this is the book where it all came from. And we are actually working through chapter 19, Dousing the Flame of Inflammation. And so it's my honor to host this with you guys tonight and just talk through it. We do this every week, as you know, and you've probably heard if you've been watching this series. We're working from the end of the book to the beginning of the book, one chapter at a time. And so tonight we're going over chapter 19. I do actually have some questions that I came up with because I want to encourage you to actually read this, and not even just read it, but to kind of study it a little bit. And if you think about the reality of if you're as healthy as you want to be, you probably don't need to learn anything. But if you're not, there might be something out there that you can learn. And so tonight I've got 4 questions that I'm going to kick it off with, and then I'm going to allow let us talk a little bit around some of the things that jumped out. This is one of the, in my opinion, out of all the chapters, this one is kind of the most important as to why we're doing all of the things we're doing. You know, all of it comes down to reducing this inflammation in our bodies and helping our bodies actually, like all the things we're doing on our habits are to change the things that we eat so that it reduces inflammation. When we deal with stress, it reduces inflammation because stress oftentimes has us eat. And then we eat the things that are high inflammation foods. And so it's this whole thing, and it kind of all boils down into this kind of a strange, uncommon, not understood very well word called inflammation. So here is the first question for the evening. And what I'm going to do is, do you guys all know how to, I guess the 2 people that are on the telephones won't be able to play, but for the rest of you, we're going to have you raise your hand. So pull up the little participant window at the bottom of the screen, and we'll allow you to answer by raising your hand. So the first question of the evening is, what is the test that you can go to a doctor and have done to measure inflammation? What's it called? Martin, that's not the wrong hand to raise.
It's easier to raise this one than to reach forward and press the button.
Oh, but it's more work, and work is good for us. Martin, are you going to raise your hand? Okay, so Kim's going to answer this one then. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Oh, Martin, you did it. Okay, so it looks like we have one person that has the answer. Oh, it's Martin. Yes, Martin.
Oh, now I have to say what it is?
Yes, you do.
It is a test, is on the blood test, and you actually have to request it from the healthcare provider, or they have to request it. They just won't normally do it.
Right.
But it's a test for CRP, or C-reactive proteins.
Mm-hmm. And that is found on page 233. It's right under the heading that says, "Are you at risk?" There is actually a way to measure your level of immune activation using C-reactive protein test. Elevated CRP, which occurs when inflammation is present in the body, is highly predictive of cardiovascular disease. In fact, elevated CRP can boost your heart attack risk by 300%, even if your cholesterol levels are normal. It can also predict your risk of other inflammatory diseases such as arthritis and cancer. Now, I don't know about you, but heart disease, arthritis, and cancer are things I would like to stay far from. And so eating, these strategies that we use for eating aren't just to keep skinny, right? You can be skinny and have high inflammation levels and still have high risk of these types of diseases. that are deadly. Pretty soon, I mean, pretty much nobody wants to get cancer, right? Even there's some treatments that take care of it. You're just never the same, right? Same with a heart disease, a heart attack. There's a lot of things we can do for heart problems, but your body's just never going to be the same. Don't rely on medicine to try to fix you when you have it in your hands. So, Martin, that was exactly right and nicely done. So the next question is, what 3 culprits lead to heart disease? Who wants to vote first on this one? It's on page 231. There's 3 primary culprits that can lead to that. So inflammation is one. See the little box at the top there?
Exactly.
Yeah, until a few years ago, the medical community focused on cholesterol and triglycerides as the main culprits in heart disease, but it turns out that's not the whole story. Thanks to a landmark study at the Harvard School of Public Health, we know that chronic inflammation, specifically the presence of C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker, plays a major role in the development of heart disease. So it is inflammation, triglycerides, and cholesterol. So those are the 3 things. But what's really interesting is, think about it. Heart disease is the #1 killer of people still in America. And inflammation is a major culprit in that. If you think about things, there's so many things we do to try to prevent heart disease, but low glycemic foods usually is not one that I hear about often. It's like huge. So I'm going to run through the rest of these, and then we'll have a little bit of conversation about them. Or actually, why don't we just go ahead and talk about those first 2? How's that?
I have a question.
Mary.
So,
Mary. Hi, Don. Good to see you tonight.
So the answer to your last question was inflammation, triglycerides, and cholesterol, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Based upon that little box.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really just, it's not word for word. It's not like the 3 things. It doesn't say that in there, but you kind of glean from it when you read it.
Right. I just couldn't remember the word cholesterol until I started talking. So thank you for processing with me, everybody.
You betcha, Mary. Love that. I'm a verbal processor too, if you haven't noticed. And I can also do that. So don't forget about that. So, so any comments on the C-reactive protein test, or have any of you had a client that has taken that test? You have, Linda? Yeah. Do you have anything to share on that, or just that they did?
I personally have had it.
Personally? Oh, you have. Oh, wow.
Yeah. About 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with inflammation. And the reason I went to the doctor is because I had these ugly, terrible red blotches all over my back and stomach. And they couldn't figure out, the doctor said, well, I'll send you to the specialist. So I went to a dermatologist, and they sent another doctor that did this CR test on me. And that's what it was, inflammation. So this is when I was, at my heaviest. And I'm sure if I went back now to have that test again, there would be no inflammation in my body. So.
Yeah. There's actually a scale. I don't know. It's 1 to 5. I didn't find that specifically. I don't even know if that's actually in this chapter. I didn't see it as I was reading through it.
It's Craig. What was interesting, I was talking to Nick about that.
Nick, who's Nick?
Nick Carulli, Dr.
Okay.
Carulli, about the C-reactive protein test. And a reason a lot of doctors don't request it is they don't get paid for it. The labs, that's something that the lab will not reimburse them for. through the insurance coverage protocol.
Interesting. Yet, hopefully.
Yet, but there's something else that you're looking for something. Never mind. I'll wait.
Okay. Yeah. So that's some good little bit of conversation. So my third one is 3 food types that lead to high inflammation. What are 3 food types that lead to high inflammation?
Fat, grease, fries, alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, those are specifics. Yeah, those are some of those food types. It's actually on the bottom of page 233, food and inflammation. They talked about processed food, the Western diet. Now, again, processed foods are specific things, and different things are processed for different reasons. Kim, did you actually raise your hand, Kim? And I didn't see that. I was looking down.
I actually did.
Oh.
Yeah, processed food, carbohydrates, and fats.
Yes, you got it right. That's right. And the biggest one, processed foods, we can eat less and less processed food. But what do you think, when you think about processed foods, what do you think he's talking about specifically there? Olive oil is processed, so would he be talking about olive oil? Cheetos. How about Doritos? Or maybe Fritos. If it ends in Eatos, it's probably not good for us. Taquitos. Okay, so yeah. So, because people think, well, these meal replacements that you guys are recommending, aren't they processed? Well, they're processed for good reasons, not for cheap, taking nutrients out and just making something flavorful with high calories, right? There's no preservatives in any of our meal replacements. I don't know if you guys knew that. They will mold if you take them out, and if you make a brownie and you leave it in your refrigerator for more than a week, it will grow moldy because there's no preservatives in it. And there's lots of preservatives in most processed foods because they last forever. And so, but lots of foods are processed, obviously, and you want to have the fewest chemical ingredients. And so if you look at the backs of our meal replacements, all of those things that look like they're chemicals, those are actually vitamins and minerals. That's just the scientific name for those vitamins and minerals, right? Ascorbic acid, well, you could call that vitamin C, right? Panotheic acid, well, that sounds like it's a chemical, but no, it's actually an acid, and it's one of the B complex vitamins. So then we got carbohydrates, high glycemic carbohydrates. We can figure those things out. That's one of the things that I discussed today with a couple of coaches. I said, and we'll talk about this in the health coach training, but name 3 high glycemic fruits. Or, okay, how about 3 low glycemic? And I was surprised that she kind of struggled with that. And so I created a little void, and she found out the answer and texted me pretty quickly. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, so those are 3 kind of food types generically. And so the last question is, what are some tips to keep inflammation in check? Who would like to vote? Who would like to weigh in on that one?
Is it in between 5 and 7?
Some tips between 5 and 7. What do you mean?
What number is between 5 and 7?
I don't understand the question.
6. What do we do that's 6? Smaller meals 6 times a day.
Oh, yes. Yep. So yeah, there's a list of them on the page 236. To keep inflammation in check, with these handy diet tips. Kim, would you like to go through some of those? I see your hands raised.
This is working great, Craig.
Yeah, so good. I'm so...
Well, I can read them if you want me to read them. They're in a box on the bottom of page 236.
Mm-hmm. So let's just have a little discussion. Which ones of those stand out to you that you either knew or you didn't know, or that you're, any comments on those?
I think maybe one that we don't think of as often, although I have heard of it, is not avoid overcooking and charring foods.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that probably don't focus on a lot.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the other ones, especially being around this community of people, we learn, whether it's explicit or not, just about like the avoiding sugar and highly refined carbohydrates,
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things are pretty common,
Mm-hmm.
that we know. But those, I think that the charring food was one that maybe some people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I was surprised by coconut milk being on the inflammatory fats list. It's a page back on 234, but I just, you think of coconut whatever as being a good choice. And so coconut milk being inflammatory is annoying now. Wish I didn't know that.
Well, it's a and this book was written, it's about 7-8 years ago. And so I don't know if that's something that can change, or if I don't know what that is, but because there's kind of a buzz, a fad, if you will, about coconut oil being the great thing and all that. And then, some of this stuff that he talks about in here, the saturated fats, a lot of times we thought that saturated fats were a problem. And there's some different opinions about that, about what actually causes plaque in your arteries. So for me, I didn't look specifically, because that seemed like the jury still had some new information on that. And Dr. A is actually writing HOH 2.0. So,
yeah, I heard about that, but I just found a Thai dish that has coconut milk in it, and I was so excited about it. But
yeah, I personally wouldn't. I maybe have it sparingly, occasionally.
Yeah,
You don't eat Thai every day, but avoiding sugar, highly refined carbohydrates, high fructose corn syrup. Well, those are pretty simple. We can get those. Maintaining a healthy weight by lowering your daily calorie consumption. Well, okay, that seems like a pretty basic one. This was interesting. Cook with anti-inflammatory herbs and spices. I don't even know what those are, but I bet you we can find them. I bet you they're in here somewhere.
Turmeric is one.
Turmeric?
Yep.
Yeah. I think vinegar should be one. And
Probably.
ketchup
Probably.
with my French fries.
Cinnamon.
Awesome. Well, those are the 4 questions that I pulled out, and I'm actually going to try and have a few questions each week for us, so that you'll take some time, and hopefully this will trigger something in your head to say, hey, I kind of want to read through that, and maybe read it before. Maybe you'll highlight something in a new color that you haven't highlighted before, and there's this really incredible other book. It's like a companion. These are friends. This one's in love with that one. And so this is called the Companion Guide for Dr. A's Habits of Health book. And I know you guys think I'm a little crazy. I get it. I am. So this particular one was lesson number 15, and it was dousing the flame of inflammation. And so it has, it asks you some of these questions about what are 3 factors that can cause inflammation, and so it's not like to me, it's not like this is a college level class, right? It's this workbook shouldn't be like, oh, it's so painful to answer those questions, right? I mean, it's 3 types of foods that create inflammation. Habits of Health, page 233. It actually gives you the page where the answer is. So if you think about it, it's kind of fun to not only find the answer, but then to write it down because, are you ready for this? If you write it down, it might stick a little better. And if it sticks, who benefits? Everyone. Everyone. So, actually, you know what? Do you guys have this? Is this close by to any of you? If you have it, turn to page 118. And I want to see what you guys, if you guys have answered these or what you would answer. It says, list some of those stress-reducing ideas that you'd like to try. And this comes from page 239 to 242 in the Habits of Health book. 239 to 242. And so there's lots of different stress-relieving things. Did you guys have, anybody want to share some of the things that they would like to do? Debbie, are you good? You want to talk or not? No. Hi. No, I can't hear you. You're on mute, but I still can't hear you. Let me unmute. Okay, now you can talk.
I'm sorry. I'm talking to myself.
Oh, no problem. Now I can hear you at all. Let's see here. Go ahead, Mary.
I'd like a massage.
You would. Okay. You're going to go global, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you probably can figure something out.
Okay.
Yep. Little shoulder massage for the team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good one. That's good. Some good self-care. Massage always helps me kind of. The massages that I don't like are the ones that are too light.
They're lame.
You're waiting for them to kind of go deep, and so you're tensing just kind of like, I'm anticipating this being good, and it almost is, which means it's not.
Yeah.
I hate those kind of massages. Do you guys know that I studied massage therapy? I was a massage therapist for years.
I do.
Yeah, yeah. So some of you do. But so that's, I have received a lot of massage, and those massages that aren't quite there, it's like, that was almost good. Yep. On number 6, I put go natural. I'm not sure what I meant, but I want to go natural. Maybe it's with my hair color.
I think he actually means get out in nature is what
Yes.
He's not meaning like what they would do down in Oregon.
Yeah. Go for walks on the beach. Yep. Rolfing. That's a painful massage. So, awesome, guys. Well, we are right about the top of the hour. Any other specific things that jumped out that were like,
Yes.
Yeah, Martin.
On page 19.
19 or 119?
On chapter 19, page 231.
Okay.
I was like, that we haven't got there yet.
I
We
know.
don't
I'm thinking,
what's on
why is
there,
he taking us there?
I was jumping ahead. And
Yeah.
this is something with inflammation and the people that have visceral fat or the belly fat, the excess fat that we're carrying around our system. And it's more of the protein or the chemicals that are being released into our system. And I always thought it was interesting thinking of it from DEFCON 1 to DEFCON 5 from a military standpoint. Those chemicals that are released is what's creating the inflammation. And so our body is going to release some defenses against those. It's going to try and fight those radicals that are going through our system. And they're going to kill, their attempt is, we're going to kill everything in sight. We're going to kill all of the bad chemicals. Unfortunately, they're not using a scalpel. They're using a shotgun, or they're using, in other words, they're a bomb.
Lateral damage, yeah.
Lateral damage. So not only are they going to attack the inflammatory cells or the chemicals that are being released, but it's going to start killing some of the good things that we have.
Yeah.
In non-medical term. So I always say it's like being in DEFCON 1 versus we're always in a state of DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 4. We're living, but we're in this heightened sense of alert, or our body's in this heightened sense of alert, which is sending all of the the chemicals, cortisol and all that stuff through our systems, which is.
That's so good. Yeah. I think of some people that have, if you have a fat gut versus a fat butt, think about the differences there for your health. One of them is not as life-threatening as the other. And why do you think a visceral adiposity around your belly is a worse place to carry this type of fat, which releases those things Martin was just talking about, versus having a fat butt? What do you think would be the difference there? Why one is better than the other? Anyone want to take a stab at that?
Well, because your belly fat is pressing on all your organs.
And I believe they call them vital organs.
Vital organs. Thank you.
Think about that.
Too many in our butt. So.
I don't know of any vital organs in my butt. Right? So you think about it. Yeah, you have all those. When they wear here's a great analogy. Maybe not great. You guys judge if it's great. Have you ever seen a policeman have a bulletproof butt vest?
No.
Right? Where do they have it? They have it here, because obviously everything here is vital and you need to protect it. And so literally having all that fat around your belly ends up rotting your organs. And you can't live. I mean, I think you can have a kidney, part of your liver. There's a few things that you can kind of sort of get by without. But
you can't get by with, you need one.
You need at least one. Yeah. Your heart, it's only got one, right? Lungs, you probably get by on one lung, but you need a lung, right? There's some things in there though that they're irreducibly complex. If you don't have them, you're done. So, all right. So next week, it is going to be chapter 18. This is the one that hopefully you guys will be really, really connected with. It's a short chapter, although it's a lovely chapter. And this chapter is all about support, which is why we are health coaches. Because we, as a health coach, immediately connect into a community of other people. And as we build you could call it a business, a health coaching practice ends up working with people. And so that ends up being part of your support system. So it's like a win-win. Health coaches is a win-win. You get to build your own support system while you're actually building a career or an income. So it's a really cool thing. So chapter 18 for next week, building your support system. We'll see you there.